Blackson in the hizzle, all for shizzle. We got an excellent show here today. Um, as we wait on Nature Mom to get here, I think we had a little time discrepancy. I believe that's at 10 a.m. I don't know what 6 a.m. is her time. I don't know if that's 11 o'clock. Oh no. So we are going to wait on her to get here. Real quick, I have uh, before I get started. Um, before I get started, I do want to speak on. So today's topic, we're going to deal with Tunisia. She wanted to address, I guess, some human rights issues going on in it over there. Well, she said racism, so I'm just like, okay, I think this will be a good topic. As y'all know, we got the arena abroad coming up, and we're going to tie in um, how American freedoms are very unique in the world. Okay, we are live. Okay, I gotta send a message real quick that let me know we're live. Okay, so yeah, um, so okay, just waiting on Nature Mom to get here. As soon as she gets here, let me send her another invite because I'm not sure she got the first one. We'll send her another one. But yeah, we're going to talk about Tunisia, and it's very interesting. So I want to hear what she has to say, and then we're going to go from. Oh shit! Hold on. Let me send her that. Boom. Okay, send her another invite just in case she missed the first one. Started. Okay. Let me copy this, post that in the link, and boom. Boom, there we go. Yep, we're all set to go. Okay, y'all. So yeah, um, we're all set to go. So yeah, so I read the article real quick. She sent it to me, and it said something about racism in Tunisia. I'm guessing the people in Tunisia, um, you have like you have like an Arab population, you have like a African population, and if I'm not, I saw the flag with the crescent moon and all that. It looks Islamic. So we're going to find out that out first. Find out if they live under a Islamic theocracy, first of all. Then, second of all, we're going to see, um, based on these accusations of racism, we're going to find out how they line up to the I guess uh, freedoms and struggles. Because, like I said, my sister Nature Mom, she was born in America. I'm born in America. A lot of us, I want to say, majority of my viewers are born in America, and then we have people that are born outside of America. And when they get here, they have a different mindset. They're not as liberal. They're more conservative on a lot of things, and so um, they have that old saying: "Be careful what you wish for." So if you wish for Islamic State, if you wish for, I don't know, a more theocratic structure, then um, if you're not used to the freedoms here in America, then um, you're not going to see the same things that we see as far as the concepts of freedom. You're going to have a different outtake and a different outlook. It's going to be totally different. Okay, so we got Nature Mom ad stream. Okay, so we got a black screen here. Okay, Nature Mom, you're uh-oh, connection. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Seems like Nature Mom got a bad connection. Bad connection, Nature Mom, bad connection. Bad connection. Bad. Okay, so I'll continue on till she gets here. So yeah, I'm thinking that you have different concepts of freedom, and even here on YouTube, I've talked about how people, even here in America, are born. You could be best friends with a person. You could be in the same household as a person. Everybody has different concept of what freedom is. Um, we've heard definitions. Well, we've heard a definition here on YouTube, but like I said, it's I guess I need to read my definition. Let me read my definition of what freedom is because uh, we've heard Brother Yanga give a we've heard Brother Yanga give a definition. So let me give y'all my Google definition of what freedom is. Freedom. And people, and then if y'all check out Venkat's show last night, Venkat show did an excellent show of what okay, here's a very simple. Let me blow this up. Let me do a share screen real quick. Share screen. Let's do that. Okay, so here's if y'all can see that. Here's my definition of freedom. Definition of freedom. Let me see. I can blow this up a little bit. Maybe go boom, boom, boom. Maybe one more. Yeah. Okay, that looks good right there. Okay. So freedom, the power or right to act, speak, or think as one wants without hindrance or restraint. Now that's similar to it's kind of similar, but not the same. It's kind of because I know Yanga gave a definition, but it was slightly different, and that slight difference could make a world of difference to. Okay, she's gonna join us again. What up, Delapo? Delapo, Sheena. Okay, hey, what's going on? What's going on? Peace to you. So yeah, the we all have different definitions. I mean, like I said, freedom and even within that freedom, that thought, even that definition, you have the freedom to define it how you want. You know, nobody else should ever define your freedom. If somebody else is defining your freedom, uh, me myself, I don't define that as freedom. So, like I said, today's show is going to be very interesting because Tunisia is dealing with racism, and so I would like to know what the policies and procedures of that company. Oh, I said company. Policies procedure of that country. Let's see, Tunisia. See if we could pull up a Tunisian constitution. Let's see, Tunisian. Let's see. Let's see. Tunisia. Tunisia. Let's see what we got. Tunisia. Constitution. I'll just wait for her to get here. I'll just wait for her to get here because I'm not sure. Um, like I said, if y'all see the Tunisian flag, it looks like a similar to a Turkish flag. Um, a lot of those flags, like I said, the Nation of Islam, a lot of those are Islamic flags, and so again, I just want to see how it lines up to the Islamic theocracy because the Islamic theocracy constitutions and what they have as what they have in rules and regulations are definitely in contrast to the U.S. Now, the U.S. we have our Constitution, and our Constitution based on uh, our Constitution. Number one has separation of church and state. Number one, so that right there uh, knocks out the whole regime and hierarchy of Islamic principles. And I guess when I say Islamic, meaning theocratic. Now, I'm not talking about a person's personal Islamic beliefs. I'm talking about how it applies to the government. Once Islam is applied to a government, then it they take it out of your personal belief, your personal um, applications in life, and the government now interprets Islam for the people. What up, Evizzle? What up? What up? What up? What up? What up? And so that's the difference. Now, here in the U.S., we have freedom of religion, meaning you're free to interpret Islam, Christianity, whatever religion based on the individual. So that individual, you can interpret the religion how you want, God how you want, and how you practice that particular religion. That's why we got so many sets of religions here. And um, let's see what we got this time. Boom. What's going on, Nature Mom?
Okay, are we connected?
Connected. Yep.
Fantastic.
So
Yeah,
we
so
had. I'm a little confused. We had 11 at the time, or was it 10? I thought you said the earlier the better.
um I think my brain just stuck with 11 because of before, but that's okay.
Oh, okay,
I
okay,
was just doing some uh research for a paper I'm writing about animal anatomy, so that's okay.
okay,
Let me just pull up some notes here. Some important things going on in this part
okay.
of the world, as you know.
Yeah, you sent me something on Tunisia, and I looked up Tunisia and I saw their flag, and I'm like, are they a theocracy?
Tunisia in itself is not considered a theological state. They're considered a democratic state.
Oh,
Um,
okay,
yeah.
okay. So
So,
now my next question would be, I need to see their constitution
uh-huh.
and see how what's exactly is going on. Because when you said racism, I said, oh, let's go to the constitution, see what's going on here.
Let's look at. I'm pulling it up right now.
So that's not an Islamic flag that they have, the crescent moon and star and the rainbow.
Yeah, I mean, so the very heavy, a very heavy um Muslim influence, but they did the Tunisian, the current president did present a constitution. So what does that mean these days is kind of part of the conversation, that I like to bring up today.
Okay.
But yeah, there is. I'll read to you in 2022, the Tunisian constitutional referendum was
Uh huh.
a referendum held in Tunisia in July the
Okay.
25th of that year, organized by the independent, highly authorized authority for elections to allow the population to decide on a new constitution. So, this means that they are using a democratic system, not a theological system. Although
Okay.
we know that as we I mean, let's just be honest. I mean, everywhere we're going, it seems to be making a pendulum swing back towards theology, whether they're calling it that or not. I mean, that's what's happening in the United States, with the overturning by many states of the Roe versus Wade, correct? This is built on religious ideology
Hmm.
more than people having independent say for their life and their lifestyles and take a responsibility for their own bodies.
That sounds like a theocracy.
No, just the opposite. So, what
Wait, wait,
we're
hold, whoa,
saying.
whoa, whoa, wait a minute, hold up.
Okay.
So what I understand what a theocracy is that okay, so let's just say you have Islam, right?
Mm-hmm.
Based on America, we have freedom of religion, meaning you can interpret religion how you want on a personal level. A theocracy is different, whereas the government interprets Islam for you and your
Mm-hmm.
practices, and so it's no longer a personal. It's no longer a personal belief. It's state sanctioned. Islam is state sanctioned. It is determined by the most of them have a like in Iran they have like a council of elders. So they judge you by Islamic rule, Islamic laws based on you know what the government deems as what Islam
Okay.
is. Okay.
Okay, so like I said, I mean, it's very interesting that you brought that back to Islam because that is actually, in the description I just gave you, that's how America is behaving right now. And
Oh yeah, I agree. America is
yeah,
behaving like
yeah,
that. Yeah, yeah, it is.
yes. So, and I that's what I'm saying. I feel like that there's this, pendulum swing towards religion, being the core of our beliefs. And so yeah, I'm pulling up some now. I know that the main language, because there was a guest that I wanted to bring on tonight, but
Okay.
unfortunately he has a lot of work going on, and
Okay.
he wasn't able to join us. He
No
is
problem.
Tunisian, uh, and his sister is actually one of the people who have been campaigning against this act of racism. Uh,
Okay.
I don't want to use this source. Sorry, I don't use Wikipedia as my source. I try to
Right.
find something much more sound.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Uh, and unfortunately,
Absolutely.
I can't look it up on my computer without cutting you guys off. So I have to look it up on my phone. Uh, okay, so I guess this is the way to ask it. Okay, so the Constitution declares uh, Islam is the country's religion, but the
Okay.
Constitution also declares the country to be a civil state. The Constitution designates the government as the guardian of religion and requires the president to be Muslim. So,
Theocracy.
without saying it exactly, that's what it sounded like. I mean, the
Theocracy.
main language. Sorry, the main yes language of the country. The
So
educational language is
that's
Arab.
so that's going to be a core of your problem right there, because religion promotes racism, classism, and hierarchies.
So I think that the some of the most interesting points that came up as this situation has developed itself is one, many Islamic people claim that there is no racism in Islam.
Uh
That
huh.
all brothers are equal, and this is a very prime example
Oh
um,
man.
that that's not truly the case. Because the fact that this president could openly target Black people, and we'll say Black people as a whole, um, because there are Tunisians who
Yeah.
are facing the fire of racism over there,
Okay.
and are assumed to be non-Tunisian because they are Black. And it's very another interesting point to me, that you are going to discriminate against uh, African people in an African country. So with that being said, um, they are, the president himself is implicated um, with proof to be promoting racism in his country. So a lot of his citizens are standing up against this. And, uh, I think that speaker said it very poignantly. She said that in the country of Tunisia, not only as a Tunisian does she have to face, the direct discrimination of racism, but also discrimination of sexism. And she said that when she was assumed to not be uh, Tunisian born, she was
Right.
sexually harassed.
Right.
So, I think that's a very interesting conversation to be had these days because, a lot of, you know, um, uh, brothers and sisters from the US are constantly, saying, let's go back to Africa. Okay, feel free to go back to Africa, but the grass is never greener. We're still seeing the same institutionalized racism across the board. And as you said, a lot of people are really hiding within the US, within, post-colonized, neo-colonized countries. And as we're
Hmm.
seeing in Arab countries as well, they're really trying to claim that there is no racism. But I'm seeing it over and over again. Um, and that is just frankly not true. Going back to Africa, I think that you face as much racism there as you're facing anywhere else in the world as a Black person. So there was a comment here about from Bizzle, Bizzle, that that Tunisian has been a member of the UN since 1950. I think that one of the most interesting points that I made to a very good friend of mine, and I'll read it to you, to my Tunisian friend today, as we were discussing this, is that you know this topic, of trying to escape racism is not something that we can run away from, especially as Black Americans, as European Africans. Um, that this is deep proof of how deeply the whitewashing of slavery and colonialism has permeated generations. And, I just think that it's very interesting that this president, he's, uh, like we said, he's Tunisian born, so therefore he's African. He is Muslim, so therefore, according to the Quran, he should not be seeing or expressing such hatred and promoting violence that is occurring over there right now. I mean, everywhere, but particularly in his state that he's responsible for. And this is showing how we are around the globe, in the aftermath of all of these protests that moved all over the world after the murder of George Floyd. Um, that we're seeing that there's still it's not being addressed, directly. I loved how Chris Rock put it in his recent stand-up routine, where he coined this phrase, selective outrage. So I think it's very interesting that this president has a selective outrage, towards Africans, other African nations migrating into his country, but he had no problem with Syrians. He had no problem, with other refugees, that came into Tunisia. And yet, let's talk about the mass, migration of Tunisians out of Tunisia and moving into other, countries all over the world. So the hypocrisy in this situation is just overwhelming, in my opinion. Yet you'll still have a lot of, highly uneducated, in my opinion, Black people saying, we need to go back to Africa. So I think that's my point today, is just to expose that, going back once again to I don't know if you were able to catch Chris Rock's live, so this was an unprecedented event, his live stand up on Netflix. Um, and he poignantly chose this topic of selective outrage. You and I have brought it up before, how, there's these areas where, if, uh, you know, I have a friend who's an artist. She is, of European descent, an American of European descent, and does not express any ethnic, or should we say, dark skin features. Um, by looking at her, but she does very much identify with oppression. She does much identify with, unfair treatment of women, unfair treatment of people of color, uh, people of color who have been slaughtered and their lands occupied, and yet she has been not allowed. Let's say, not that she's not been allowed, but she is actually has had her art removed for doing art of indigenous people and of people of
Right.
color.
Okay.
So it's just
Um.
interesting. Go ahead.
So, quick question. So, what are we basing human rights on? Are we basing it on the Declaration of Human Rights? Are we basing it on the rights we know here influence Western as like in America? Are we basing it on their Constitution?
I mean, I think that as far as, and that's why it would be great to have time to have a Tunisian sit on the panel with us
But can we? I
and
mean,
tell it
can
from
we?
their point of view
But can
firsthand.
okay? But can we look up the Constitution? I get what you're saying about the person's opinion and all that, but do we have? Can we just pull up a Constitution and just kind of go through the Constitution? Because I'm 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 trying to find out
I,
if their constitutions allow freedoms or do they allow safeguards against discrimination and so on. I hear what you're saying about your friend.
okay.
I'm hearing where people are coming from and they might be influenced by the West, but what does their constitution say? That's what I'm trying to get to. I'm trying to get to if you live in an Islamic country, then things are going to be totally different. And that's why I want to take a look at the Constitution because usually a lot
Mm-hmm.
of these constitutions don't line up with what we're born with. We're born in this country in the U.S. and because African Americans have fought to better those freedoms with the civil rights, the Black Power movement, with the Jim Crow, with the all these freedom of freedom from slavery. We had built on this Constitution. And what
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying, Nature Mom, is a lot of these other countries have not built on that because a lot of these countries have a real deep Islamic background. They have a real deep
Okay.
theocratic.
I mean, so
Uh,
let's say, like, according to, I mean, because you have some knowledge of the Quran itself, correct? And
I mean,
you
I
know,
have knowledge of theocracies and how they work.
mm-hmm,
I
mm-hmm.
study theocratic countries,
I'm
and
just trying to
it
check
just
up here.
right.
Go ahead.
I mean, well, the Islam, both the Quran and the Bible they come from Abrahamic religions. And Abrahamic religions, if you just read them for what they are, they're very oppressive compared to what we know as constitutions and our freedoms. So they're not going to
Mm-hmm.
align. They're gonna not going to align with I don't know, like let's just give you an example, like gay marriages. They're not going to align with what else? Freedom of religion, separation of church and state. Just simple as separation of church and state. That is a concept that was born here in America. Separation of church
Okay.
and state was born here in the United States of America. And whether people agree or disagree with that speech to be in America, we take that with us subconsciously. Subconsciously. Hey, Ebizzle, are those all theocratic? Okay, so he says like Libya, Egypt, all very similar. Okay, so shout out to Ebizzle. So
Mm-hmm.
what I'm
So
saying is
I'm
that a
actually
lot of us don't
pulling
have.
up.
Okay, what I'm saying is that your friend met you and probably have a lot of westernized friends, and that influence became upon her, and now she's comparing and contrasting with her home country.
So,
What we
um,
have to do is deal with that home country and their constitutions and find out what's going on. I'm
okay, so
willing to
I'm
bet.
not sure which
Yeah.
friend you're speaking of.
Okay, I mean, sorry, the girl who you said that you wanted to have a guest. What I'm saying is that we can still look up the
Oh, no,
Constitution right
it's
now.
Jawher. He is a
Okay.
he.
Oh, he. I'm
Yeah,
sorry. Okay.
yeah, that's okay. But he, um, I mean, when you said, from his home country being Tunisia,
Okay.
what is exactly, what would you like to know about, you
Just the
know?
Constitution.
Okay, so I
And
have
how?
the
Yeah.
Constitution of Tunisia,
Okay.
the Bob, okay, President of the Republic of Tunisia, considering the decree. Okay, so let's look at their preamble.
Okay.
I mean, because we are looking at 18 pages in in less than 1 hour. Probably won't happen today.
Can we just
So
kind of just brush through,
very
maybe just kind
interesting.
of get a yeah, just get an idea.
I mean, I think that the just even looking at the first line of the Constitution, in the
Uh
name
huh.
of God, the merciful, the compassionate, it being, the very first sentence.
Right. Theocracy.
And they proclaim they are people who have freed themselves from foreign domination thanks to the strong cohesion and their fight against tyranny, exploitation, and regression.
Okay. So a lot of word salad. Okay, I'm hearing the word salad.
But I mean, let's say, okay, when we a lot of word salad, but it's
Hmm.
also the same ingredients that the president is currently dishing out: tyranny,
Right. A lot of word salad.
exploitation,
Right.
and regression. Yes. Um, so consolidate national unity and remain faithful. And I like this part, to consolidate national unity. So we're talking about all
Right.
nations of Tunisia,
Hmm.
uh, and remain faithful to the human values that constitute the common heritage of the people, attached to human dignity, justice, and liberty, and who are striving for peace, progress, and free cooperation among nations. We'll take a little pause there.
Okay.
uh, so the next line of their preamble says to remain faithful to the teachings of Islam and to the unity of the greater Maghreb, to the membership of the Arab community, and to the cooperation with the peoples who struggle to achieve justice and liberty. To establish democracy founded on the sovereignty of the people and characterized by the stable political system based on separation of powers. That's a
Yeah,
lot of
sounds
word
good.
salad right
A
there,
lot
in
of
my
word
opinion.
salad. A lot of
Yeah.
word salad. We're a lot of word salad. A lot of word
Okay.
salad.
So,
First of all, the opening shows that it's a theocracy. That is very theocratic.
oh, absolutely. But great.
There you go.
It's just funny because, based on freedoms, justice, there's absolutely nothing justified by an African that would suppress other Africans. Unity, sovereignty, sovereignty with other nations. I think that he has just broken the first one, two, three, 4 points of their own preamble.
Well,
And
hold on, nature mom. Hold on, nature mom. When you're dealing
mhm,
with, if you got God in there, so what does God have? God has worshipers, right?
correct.
And when you think of God, you think of servitude, right?
I mean, when you say we, no, I don't think
Okay,
of
okay,
God
okay,
as servitude. No,
okay,
absolutely
okay.
not. You know, when
Okay,
I
let me
think
say
of
this.
God,
So
those are not the things that I think of.
right. So when okay, hold on, let me stop you right there. When you think of God, because
Mm,
you're born in a country of separation of church and state, you have the right to define God as you see fit. In a
Mhm.
theocracy, that's not the case. The government defines God as it sees fit, not you. You see how that
So
works?
and that's why we're going through this preamble now
Right.
because we want to see what
Absolutely.
they say,
Okay.
and what they say is in opposition not only to their religious points of view, because according to the Quran, there is no discrimination amongst brothers, and we know
Brothers.
that
Oh,
most
you mean other Islamic people, and who determines who is Islamic and who is not? You see the problem
according
there?
to those who are especially sub-Saharan Africans are
Mhm.
mostly Islamic.
No, I understand that. But what I'm saying is who determines the barometer of who Islamic and who is not? Like I had people like people here in America, if you listen to a different type of music, black people will determine that, oh, well, you're not black
Hmm.
because you don't listen to R&B and rap. I'm just using that as an example.
So
So let's go to Islamic country. What makes a person Islamic or not Islamic? Because this
yeah,
thing, like you said, the crab in the barrel is worldwide. So I know if
correct.
it's something as minute as black people saying, "Oh, you don't listen to rap, you're not black," I'm sure there's Tunisians over there saying, "Well, you're not Islamic."
Hmm. Well, unfortunately, I can't speak for any Tunisians
I know
because
you
one, I
can,
had to live there. Yeah,
but
but
we can read the Constitution with all the goddamn word salad.
yeah, and as we're reading through, I just think that the last couple of lines, because it says, "We proclaim that the Republican regime constitutes the best guarantee for the respect of human rights, for
Hmm.
the establishment." Okay, and that's a great question. So we'll ask the questions after we understand what they're putting out there as their declarations. Yes, so the
I'm glad
best
you. Okay.
guarantee for the respect of human rights, for the establishment of equality among citizens on terms of rights and duties, and for the achievement of the country's prosperity through economic development and the use of the nation's riches for the benefit of the people.
Uh
The
huh.
most effective way of protecting the family and ensuring the citizens' right to work, healthcare, and education.
Okay.
And we, the representatives of the free and sovereign Tunisian people, do, by the grace of God, proclaim this constitution. So they've made a promise, yes, especially on the basis of their religion, is what they're saying in the very last line. And just two lines before that, they're saying the best guarantee in writing for the respect of human rights. So it's very interesting, because the question is, when you have a leader who is declaring that a group of people, one particular group of people, is at the fault of the economic situation and is at the fault of the crime situation, you know, and basically egging your people on to discriminate against them.
Okay.
Yes, I asked the question, so where are their human rights? And you're the leader promoting this. So where are their human rights?
So they should have
Um,
articles of what the
okay,
human
here we
rights
go.
are.
Article
Okay.
number 1.
Okay.
Tunisia is a free, independent, and sovereign state. Its religion is Islam, its language is Arabic, and its type of government is a
Theocracy.
republic.
It just said it's a theocracy.
Well, okay, but it says it's a republic. So what is a republic?
Oh, jeez. Okay. Keep going.
No, I'm just saying, it's to me. I mean, we know that it's
Islamic
truly
Republic. So
behaving.
it's an Islamic. So it's an Islamic Republic.
So okay,
So it's
let's read
Iran.
article number 2.
Okay.
The Republic of Tunisia is a part of the Great Arab Maghreb, an entity of which it endeavors to unify within the framework of mutual interests. Okay,
Okay.
so
Hold on.
what is
Hold
it
on. Hold
saying
on.
there?
So in Islam, in the theocracy of Islam, there's servitude,
Mhm.
right? Is there servitude?
There is slavery.
There is slavery. Okay. So let me share a screen with you just
So, I
real
mean,
quick.
let's say there are scriptures that in the Quran that talk about slavery. Now, according to some research that I've done, and I'm not going to pull it up at this time. Um, Arab culture has abolished slavery. I think that was in the 1990s. Like I said, I'm not going to look it up now. I'll post, if I can find it quickly, I'll post it at the end of the show. If not, I'll post it after I do some research and get that information back up again. But it should be in my writing because I put it in some of the writing that I did that we had conversations about before. But yeah, so right there is saying, what its number one article is about. It's about the religion of Islam, the language of Arabic, and about Tunisian being free, independent, and sovereign. But sovereign, Article 2 declares that it is operating. Um,
So let
Its
me ask a quick
endeavors
question.
are within the unity of the framework of mutual interests of the Great Arab Ghareb. Sorry if I'm not saying it correctly.
No, no, you said it just fine.
Very
And
good.
so let me. Do you mind if I share the Declaration of Human Rights?
I mean, is this an international declaration?
It's one that was agreed upon by the United Nations after World War II.
Okay. I'm curious to hear that because, as Bezel just pointed out, they've been members of the UN since 1950.
Okay.
So
Well,
let's see
let's
what
see if it,
other,
let's see
because
if
this
right.
constitution so far up to Article 2 only talks about the Arab coalitions. It doesn't
Right.
talk about the other coalitions that they've made.
So, well, I was going to bring it up because I'm a little confused by what human rights are they talking about? Are they talking about
I'm curious
human
too.
rights just for Islam, people, brothers of Islam, or is it universal? Because it doesn't sound like
I
universal
mean,
because universal does
I hate
not
to
go
say it,
by
but human rights doesn't say Arab human rights or Islamic human rights.
what
It
you
says
just
human.
read, but you just read that it's a theocracy. And
I did not
theocracy,
read this is a theocracy, but
no, 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 but you read,
we've extracted from this reading
I'm sorry, my
that
apologies.
they
Right.
are they are making
Theocratic.
coalitions with the first two articles of their constitution. Their general
They
belief.
said you have to speak Arabic and their state religion is Islam. They said that clearly.
Correct. I mean,
So that
they didn't
means
say you have to
so
speak Arabic.
the
They said that's their language.
that is their language. Okay, so my question is, do their Islamic beliefs trump human rights? That's what I want to know. And that'll your friend will he will understand that will be as plain as day. Just like any other theocratic country, that will be as plain as day. Does Islam supersede human rights? And if it
I think the only thing.
does, or if it doesn't, then I will go to the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and show that it does. I will prove my case after
Okay.
you know.
I just wanted to point out some information from Article 4, which, after the description of their flag and its symbols,
Mhm.
it says that the motto of this republic is freedom, order, justice. So,
Word salad.
I mean, yeah, word
Let me
salad, but you making it
let me
a
read
national
something.
thing.
Right, but right, but let me read something that maybe I can get to the crust. Do a share screen
Okay.
because man, this is really. I'm just like, wow, the word salad is. I feel like I'm on the corner of New
You,
York and they're doing a three-card money right now. That's where I feel like I'm at. I feel like I'm in downtown Manhattan right now and they're doing three-card money. That's how I feel right now, Nation Mom. So I'm sorry, I'm a little excited, but I know with three-card money, I know how to recognize it right away.
okay.
That's one thing the streets have taught me how to recognize bullshit and word salad. And I'm seeing a lot of that. But you know what? Let me just share this real quick. Let me just share this real quick. Let me just show you the universal. Can you see the screen?
No, it's still loading.
Can you see the
Yeah.
screen?
No, it's yours. Yours is not.
Hello, hello. Can you see the screen? Nature Mom,
Yeah, I'm here.
can you see the screen?
I can see the screen, but I don't see any information. It's scrolling.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Okay.
no, it just came up. Okay, ready.
Okay. Oh, it's scrolling. Oh, my bad. My bad. My bad. Okay. Okay. So one thing, article. This is universal. This is the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, United
Hmm.
Nations. Okay. We scroll down here to Article 4, where it says, no one shall be held in slavery or servitude. Slavery and the slave trade shall be prohibited in all their forms. So when they say servitude in religion, what are they referring to? You have to be the servant of Islam, servitude. But you just said slavery. This said slavery and or servitude. Slavery and servitude are sounding like one and the same. But what are you getting from that right there?
I mean, you know my opinion. I feel like
Let's hear your opinion.
you, I feel like our um our work system is very slave-like, whether we want to call it that or not. So, because very few of us um, can operate freely under
Hmm.
our labor laws and our heavily taxed and heavily feed labor systems in order to operate independently. So yeah, I do think that it's slavery. It's just a few of us overcome the slavery in one way or the other. But no, I think that we all operate under a system of slavery.
Okay, so I guess okay, and then I've had this discussion earlier too. What do you define as freedom? So you define
um,
okay, wait. So you're defining a 9 to 5 as slavery?
I if it's not your, your passion, your purpose, yeah, I do feel like you are selling, giving away your time for a nominal fee, probably not what you feel is a fair fee. I think that,
So,
for it
but you
to be,
don't.
let me finish the statement.
Okay, okay.
For it to be an even trade, I do feel that I should feel as the person performing the labor as equally benefited as the person who is gaining from my labor. And is that usually the case for most people? Do they really feel like they're getting a fair wage for every hour they're spending making someone else, 5 to 10 times the amount of money? No, I don't think it's very fair. I do feel like there are a lot of people who are being fairly compensated as well. Uh, the difference between their work and the other
Mm.
person's work, I think, is freedom. They have the freedom within their work to feel like they are making a. It's getting darker faster. Sorry.
Okay.
Feel like they are making a fair wage for their skill set and for the labor. Oh, the light is terrible. Let's see if I can get us a better light here. Did that help at all?
Oh, you
Not.
know what I think what just happened? We had a time change, Nature Mom. That's what it was.
Yeah,
Okay.
I was wondering if something
Yeah,
changed
we had
because
a merge. Yeah, that's okay. So I do
we were
apologize
usually
for that.
an hour back. Okay, give me one second.
Right,
I'm gonna
right.
try to get us more lighting real quick.
Okay, no problem, no problem. And I
Let's
want to
see.
apologize to everybody. There is a time change that I was unaware of. Let me stop sharing that for now. Okay, so okay, what's going on, Angel? Angel, what's going on? Shout out to Angel SVDL. Angel, MD needs to get your information. Can I send him your information, Angel? Because he needs to see what he needs to do as a requirement for a hound session. So please, Angel, let me know. Give me a thumbs up if I can forward MD your information, and I will. Or Soul's information, your information. He's ready, basically. So he's ready. So. for the hound session. Okay, I'm listening while doing my research for the show tonight. My show tonight. Oh shoot, Gynocracy has a show tonight. Shout out to Gynocracy. Okay, so Nature Mom, let's get back. Okay, so you just gave you gave your again, which you have the freedom to do.
My
You gave
interpretation,
your
exactly,
interpretation, right, which may not be
exactly,
my interpretation.
exactly, and
So,
that's
right,
freedom right there too.
that's freedom
You
right there.
know,
Right, right, and I'm glad you said that.
yeah.
However, some governments feel like they need to define what oppression is for you, what
Oh
freedom is
yes,
for you, what
absolutely.
religion is for you.
I mean, let's
And
be
what I'm
honest.
saying is
We
that
start
you're
off the
going,
show with that. We start off the show with that very point. America is making the choice of what, an American woman can do with her body and what she cannot. That is not freedom, in my
no, I
opinion,
agree. Right, right.
And I
And
think for
right.
someone who is, making the choice of bringing a life into this world that, is sick, it may not be her choice 100%, because let's not forget there are violence that happens upon women, and they don't want to keep those babies, yet they are forced in many places to keep the babies because it's a life. I'm not saying, you know one of my favorite jokes told by Chris Rock in his stand-up routine is, he said that he feels like, we should be able to be pro-choice until you get the first report card back,
Okay, okay.
so
Oh, hold on, Nature Bob, because it seemed like Angel, you guys are saying the same thing. Angel, do you mind coming up here? Because I can't really, if you can, I don't know if you're at work. If you can jump on, please do. If not, then I understand. I'm trying to, sometimes I can't make out everything that you're saying, but it sounds like you're agreeing with Nature Mom here. Um, yeah, Angel, yeah, you're gonna trip out Angel, man. She looks like her cousin, Nina, just
okay.
like her. Yeah, she looks just like Nina. I'm like, dang, look exactly like Nina. But have you talked to Nina or
No.
Lisa? No, no. Oh, okay, okay, okay. Yeah, she looked just like Nina. Like Angel looks just like Nina. Like whoa, but anywho, sorry, y'all. Okay, let's get back to the subject. So again, you
So,
just gave a definition of what
mhm,
wage, and
right. And
but a
let's
person,
say,
another person might say, well, they might be fighting to get over here to get those type of jobs that you're talking about, slavery and this and that. Like, oh, I'm not getting wages, but you have people fighting and to
so
get over
that's my
here,
very point. So let's
and
say,
they don't
like,
see that as a slave. Right,
the same job that American will feel under, paid and underappreciated for, someone from Nepal might feel like that's a very great opportunity, and they're very happy to take
right,
that type of pay wage because they can send something home to support their families. So here we are, this is a very relative term, based
right.
on, one person's, ideals versus another. Now, what is absolute freedom? That is when you are, I think that, when we define absolute freedom, that's true slavery. That's true oppression under religion. When you are, even, let's say, if I am.
Well, let me say this real quick because I don't want to seem like I'm bashing religion.
Hmm.
What I'm against, because people they always, because first thing when I'm saying I'm an atheist, like, oh, black sun is evil. I'm not against religion. I'm against theocratic governments.
Oh,
There's a
sorry.
difference. So if a person has their personal religion is Islam, I'm not against that. I'm against the government, the theocratic rule.
Mm-hmm.
Big difference. Big difference. Big difference. And a lot of black people born in America, whether they be Christian or Islamic, they're born under the concept of freedom of religion, meaning they could say, well,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like God is this way and I believe God is this and that and the other. Whereas in a theocracy, that's a no go.
Okay.
The government's
um
interpretation.
okay, so I want to touch on that a little bit.
Okay. All right.
I'm looking at Article 5. There's one, two,
Declaration.
three, four. four statements here in the Tunisian under Article 5. And the
Okay.
last statement here says the Republic of Tunisia shall guarantee the invio via sorry in ooh, I'm having a brain fart here, guys. Sorry. Uh, the invia via ooh, let's define this. I'm not even sure if I understand what they mean. Inviolability, because sometimes words, it's not letting me define it like this. Okay, let me find another way. Because a lot of times, the way people are using words in this part of the world, using English, let me be specific, does not
Okay.
define the same way we would define it, which is interesting to me.
Illegal.
Okay, let me make sure I'm defining it for you guys.
Okay.
Okay, so the fact or quality of being safe or protected from attack, infringement, destruction, or interference is inviolability. So I'm thinking what they're saying is they have the right to not be violated. Um, so just making that very clear. So it says that Tunisian guarantees the inviolability of the human person and freedom of conscience and defends the free practice of religious beliefs provided this does not disturb public order. Go-
Ah!
going on to art.
Ah!
Let me go on here
The three
and
card
going on
shuffle is real. The
and
three
going on
card
to
shuffle is real.
Article 6. Article 6 reads, all citizens have the same rights and obligations, are all equal before the law.
Before the law. Well, I love how they just do the little shuffle at the end. I love it. I love the three card Monty. I love the three card Monty.
So,
All the word salad, and then they get to their point at the end. Word salad and get to the point at the end. Do you see the pattern there, Nature Mom?
oh, all the time.
All
It,
the
within
time.
our constitutions as well, and let's just
I'm
notice
glad you
that.
said that because MD, I would like you to critique that show. Well, Yang is going to critique it already, but I know you're going to have something to say about it. But you know, in the he did a very interesting show on the Constitution of the United
Okay.
States of America. Very, 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 very interesting. And
Okay.
nowhere in there does it say that it was made for the white man.
Um, nowhere in there does it say.
You know, white and black is not even a legal status term. You know that, right?
We know that it is a social construct. Yes.
Okay, okay. So the Constitution, when they say, well, the Constitution was made for the white man, that's a misnomer. Oh, yeah, you need to check out MD's show. Very interesting. Very, very interesting indeed. Indeed, indeed, indeed. Very interesting.
I
You
mean,
know,
we
we're labeled as freemen. That's our status. Our legal term is not black or African American. All these terms, our legal status are freemen.
or Negro.
No, that's not a status.
Oh no, it's not, but it is on their official documentation.
Right, but when you go into the court and you're making a legal claim,
You're making
you
as a free
actually
man,
you're making it as a
free,
freeman.
free
Freeman.
national. So we'll say because
Freeman national or well he talked about naturalized citizen too, but we're freemen citizens of the United States. Again, I don't want to butcher what he said. Y'all will check out Indy's show he did last night. But yeah, it's just a very interesting show. Like I said, I would like to get your pushback. Yango's already going to tackle it. Shout out to Yang. He's going to tackle it, and we're going to get his perspective on it. But yeah, it's pretty. It's I'm gonna have to go back and watch it again. But I'm glad we have these references, these shows. And all I'm saying, and I wish, and I hope you do bring your friend back on, but I would do the same thing that I'm doing with you. I would take him through the Constitution and just show him where your government needs work. However, if you try to work your government, you might get worked.
Oh,
That's the
that's
difference
under
between.
every circumstance. That's with every government. Absolutely. I
But
mean,
what would
I
you say with the United States government, we make the most strides, and a lot of other governments use us as a working model because it was,
no,
who wrote, no,
no. I mean,
no.
use us as a model? No, our Constitution is actually,
So do
um,
they use? So do they use our Universal Declaration of Human Rights? Because that was by FDR's wife. She drew that up.
okay, so Declaration, Universal Declaration of Human Rights,
Yes.
and what other countries are respecting the Declaration of Human Rights?
Well, everybody's writing there. I'm not saying they're respecting it at all. Obviously, Tunisia is not respecting it, but they'll pull off the Universal Declaration of Human Rights to put in a lot of word salad to make their constitution look modern and good. And oh, we're all for the people and we're all for human rights. Yeah, bullshit. They're not for human rights. I could tear that whole constitution apart just using a Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which E. Bizzle said that they're a part of. So that means in order to be a part of it, they had to add a lot of word salad, but at the end, they had their real intention. Add a lot of word salad, add their real intention at the end. At the end of the day, it's the Islamic Republic. And we go by Islamic rules, and Islam trumps human rights. That's the bottom line.
Okay.
That's the go to. They trump human rights. And I would dare any Islamic scholar to challenge me on that. I would debate any Islamic scholar. I would debate that because it's already been debated, but I would debate them
Okay.
again on it. That
So
it trumps human rights.
let's go only, based on their own constitution. So since we don't have all of the documents laid up side by side, but according to Article 8 of the Tunisian constitution, freedom of opinion,
Uh huh.
expression, the press, publication, assembly, and the
Yeah.
association are guaranteed and exercised according to the terms defined by the law. The right to
Uh, uh,
organize
Defined
trade
by
unions
their law.
defined by the law, they say. Now,
The
let's
law.
not forget that, if they're an Islamic slave, they're also following the law of Shira, yes? So which
Right.
law are we talking about here? I'm not sure.
Sharia.
Um,
Sharia.
yes,
Call it Sharia. Yeah.
Sharia, yes. I actually call it Shira, yeah, but
Okay.
Sharia.
Sharia. Sharia. All right. Right. So
Yes,
we
yeah.
basically know what law we're
Uh,
dealing with. Right.
yes. The right. So let's go further down in this Article 8. Um, Actually, let's pick up exactly where we just left off. The right to organize in trade unions is guaranteed. Political parties contribute to supervising citizens in order to organize their participation in political life, and they should be established on
Yeah.
democratic foundations. Political parties must respect the sovereignty of the people, the values of the republic, human rights, and the principles pertaining to personal status. Let's go on. Political parties pledge to prohibit all forms of violence, fanaticism, racism, and discrimination. No political party may take religion, language, race, sex, or region as the foundation for its principles, objectives, activity, or programs. So, right there, I mean, I say that their president is in direct violation of their own constitution, Article 8. It is prohibited for any party to be dependent upon foreign parties or interests. The law sets the rules governing the establishment and organization of parties. So, um, one, I do think that there are a lot of contradictions right there in that article, but it very clearly states that political parties pledge. including their government, their president, he pledges to prohibit all forms of violence, fanaticism, racism, and discrimination. So, I mean, if there are terms for impeachment, I would say he's already violated their constitutional terms for impeachment right there. So, I really hope we can get a Tunisian on the show to speak, you know, you know, candidly about, what are the realities. But we can only go by, because um, I don't want to give my opinion. My opinion is
But won't
pointless.
the Tunisian person give their opinion also?
Yes, but we're talking about their firsthand experience. We're not talking about just
Right,
our
right.
opinion about what the
But
experiences are.
and I would love to have him on the show. But however, you just gave your experience. Like we're born in the same state in the United States, right? But we
Correct.
have two different definitions of what I guess you said. Like working is slavery. You just said that, and I'm saying it's not. See how we
No,
have
I did.
the
I did not say
okay,
working is slavery because I
okay,
work all the time, and I
okay,
don't consider myself enslaved by my work.
okay,
Um,
okay.
my work
So
is has a purpose behind it. Is my purpose in life. It's the
right,
dream and my pursuit of embetterment and of opportunity for me and my family. So, and I work all the time. So,
I do
no, I
too.
don't
Right.
feel like my work is slavery. My work
So
is my
then
choice.
So then, would you say, Nature Mom, there are people from places where you grew up where they said work, they equated work with slavery? I know you've heard that in your
Um,
years of, I don't
I
want to
mean,
expose your
no,
age, but
I can't really speak for anyone else, but I can speak
no, but
from, let's say,
have you heard, no, I said, have you heard that from other people? I know you've heard
that
it.
that work is slavery. I mean,
Yes.
maybe they were. I've had people describe their circumstances, which in some cases was actually a violation of the labor laws, and and would I consider that business owner thinking that they can take advantage of a human being? Did they have a slave master's mentality? Yes, in my opinion. Once again, opinions are like assholes. Everybody has
So you
one.
never heard
But
of anybody using just work in general, equating that with slavery. You never heard that.
I don't know if I can say that I've heard somebody say that. I mean, I think
Okay.
that if somebody, in my opinion, if somebody said that, I wouldn't listen because
You wouldn't listen.
that would
Okay.
just no, I would feel like that's just a lazy person. And
Okay.
again, my
Okay.
opinion, everybody has a right to not work, but you also have a right to not eat or mooch off
Right.
of someone else if
Good point.
you are not working, to make sure
I
that you're
agree.
getting your however many meals you want to eat a day. But if you aren't working and you expect somebody else to foot your bill, to pay, for your food, to pay for your shelter, then you are, in my opinion, enslaving another human being, even if it's an emotional enslavement, if it's, based on shame or guilt in some way. I also
Right.
define that as slavery, you know. So
Right. So let me say this, and I do hope you bring this gentleman on, because I would like to talk to him,
oh, he was
because I
very
know.
excited as
Oh no,
well,
no. Well,
but
we can set up. Yeah, we can set up shows. Like I said, I don't know what his time zone is. It he has the same time zone as you? You don't know.
yes, he does.
He does. Okay, no
No, he
problem.
does.
So
He has the
he
same time
does.
zone.
Same time zone. Okay, no problem. So what I'm saying, Nature Mom, is we can have always have him back on the show. I love, I love having guests on here,
Great.
but I will
I
ask
think
them based on
mhm.
the Constitution, based on the Constitution, and we will walk down because he said he was discriminating. He said it's racism, racism, discrimination, this and that. So we can walk down and find out where these
I
violations
think
are.
like he's just calling for Tunisia for all people,
Referendum.
without without racism. And I think that that's the general.
And I think that's cool.
I think,
Yeah, I think. Yeah.
and I think it's
However,
interesting that once again, it's kind of very parallel to you know what's the difference between an American and a Black American or African American? Is it the degree of American we get to feel? And so I'm wondering if it's the same question in Tunisia right now, especially when your president, is, calling out that, a particular and using the term Black people
uh,
and discrediting, discounting the fact that there are Black Tunisians. And once again, it's an African country.
right.
So, for you know, more than likely, most indigenous, heritage of that country does not look as white as that president. So to be
Right.
calling out any type of color, a skin, melanin, and inciting people to be hostile and violent, and scapegoating a particular group is, in my opinion, very discrediting of the people of your country, your constituents, and discrediting them as equal citizens of your country.
Okay. Again, if that president is hiding behind the rules of the Islamic Republic, it is within their constitution, then he's within his rights. So then that means that constitution there has to be a referendum. Meaning, let me give you case in point. When you know what I'm gonna do a show without mentioning Ukraine. I promised everybody I'm gonna do a show without mentioning
Too late,
Ukraine.
you just did it.
Right. So no, I'm not. Right. Too late. Am I too late, Nature Mom? Okay. So let me mention Ukraine. Hey.
Surprise, surprise.
Hey, honey, let me see you in a moment, okay? All right.
Ukrainian Constitution. This is why I'm real big on Constitution.
He just couldn't. You just
I
couldn't
just
hold
can't
that
help it
tongue, huh?
though. I know. I try to.
That's okay.
One of these days I'm gonna do a show without mentioning Ukraine because everybody's like, "Oh, here we go, Ukraine and Russia again." You know what? Just for you, I'm not gonna mention Ukraine. How about that?
Oh, you too late.
Too late. Okay. Damn.
So, I would like to address Ebizzle's question. Unfortunately, I
Okay.
won't be able to address it tonight. But very good point. I mean, I think that this situation, or should I say that the media coverage that this situation in Tunisia is getting is very interesting. Because other countries aren't getting the same type of coverage, and um, So, I think that that's also something very interesting because, when we're talking about Nigeria versus Tunisia, I think that I don't know how else to put it, but who are supremacists on their what cultures are more important to them, that can give much more focus on some countries versus others. So I'll leave that there, and I would definitely like to touch on that later, Ebizzle. Absolutely.
Right. And you
So
also gave me
yeah.
a topic because I have a new segment called The Arena Abroad. So thank you for giving me a topic because I'm gonna really dig in.
Mhm.
I'm gonna really dig in this whole Tunisia thing because I agree
Great.
already with your
Love
friend.
it.
I already see where he's going because by him being friends with you and he's probably have other similar friends and he has now conceptualized a different perspective on freedom. Not saying that his freedom is your freedom, and just saying that maybe you broaden his scope. And a lot of people
Well,
when
I
they're
would have to say he's broadened my scope,
okay,
much
right.
more,
No, no,
you
no.
know.
Look, everybody broadens each other's scope
Right,
because
right.
yeah, because in America we come from a we tend to take a lot of the freedoms with us without even realizing it, and we try to apply it to other countries. Does that make
Um, I
sense?
I would say that it's very different. I mean, like, yeah, we carry our Americanism on our backs like backpacks.
Yes,
Um,
yes.
and I think that we tend to see the world like Europeans tend to see the world from a vacuum perspective,
Uh huh.
and and we expect maybe not so much that the country's going to cater to us, because I do think that some people are much more cautious no matter where they're coming from, making sure that they do their due diligence, making sure that they research the countries they're going to. But I think that watching way too many Hollywood movies where we expect, if we get into some trouble, that Tom Cruise is going to come out of a helicopter and save us.
Right.
That's just not the case. And and I mean, like you have mentioned before, like with Brittany Griner, it took a long time for her to be released. Not saying that it didn't take, the Marine just as long to be released, because he was
Right.
incarcerated for some time.
Yeah.
But in this particular situation, he was the first to be released. So I think that what's interesting is when we travel, we tend to only think that our our knowledge of the Constitution, our knowledge of or our assumption of freedom is going to carry itself all over the world, and that's absolutely not the case. Anywhere we go, and I think that that was my main purpose of this conversation tonight, was that um, people saying, "Oh, let me get back to Africa." Um,
Right.
you are a descendant of Africa. You are not an African, and that is how people from outside of the United States see it. I mean, and uh, that ideology of "let us get back to Africa" is a very American way of looking at the world, and it's
Right.
very naive. It's extremely naive. So I think that this is a very important
I agree with you on that.
conversation to be had, because, like I said, here we are. We have, national-born Tunisians who are facing, institutionalized racism. So and as I've heard a lot of great speakers say about it, this is historical. This is not just what's happening in this small little chasm of a moment. This is historical there. And for Tunisians to be doing this movement right now, they're wearing their passports on their bodies
Right.
just to declare, "I am Tunisian and I am black," is a very warped um, reality. It's a warped, situation. They are African. They are indigenous African people, and they're being discriminated against in an African country.
Okay,
So
but
don't think that
discriminated.
the grass is greener at all.
Okay, no, it's a good point. But again, discriminated based on our concepts of freedoms or their
Let's
Islamic
let
concepts of
let
freedoms.
let's
Again,
just even removing religion from this particular conversation. Let's just look at the Rwanda incident between the Hutu and the
Hutu and
Tutsi.
Tutsis,
it,
right?
it, it it was racially based.
Okay,
So this is not something that is just isolated to this one African country. This serpent is rearing its head all over the country. So I think that That even takes, if we bring that conversation, of the Rwanda incident back to the forefront, Ethiopia, a lot of other situations. We're talking about, what they would call in U.S. black on black crime right here, you know.
Right, right.
So, uh, what's happening in Nigeria? Um, I think that that's the thing that we really have to open our eyes to as Americans, is that, we can't run away and find our utopia, where we are not going to be discriminated against.
Did you
Uh,
say utopia?
I sure did. I sure did.
MD. Hold on. MD, that's your cue to come on in here. She said the magic word.
Yep. Yep. Peace, everybody. How y'all doing? Peace, Dutch
How you
moms. Good
doing?
morning slash good evening, I guess.
Good. Thank you. Good.
Hey,
Good
yeah,
morning.
yeah, yeah. So I'm in the car. I'm driving. I got my kids. I did. So let me get a generality of what you just said. Did you just say that our very idea or thought of Afrocentrism is based off our freedoms here in the country in America? Did I hear you just say that?
I think that American idea of Afrocentrism, and the way that applies to the rest of the world, is very American based. It's not
Woo.
realistic to what's happening outside of the United States.
Okay,
And
thank you, ma'am. I'm gonna go back on mute. I'm sorry. I'm gonna
okay,
go back on mute.
okay,
Like I said, I
okay,
got the kids in the car, so
okay.
I just needed to confirm that. I just needed to
Got
confirm that.
it.
Thank you so much.
Yes. Okay. So, I
Translation,
mean,
MD's going to give his breakdown.
oh,
he's going
great.
to
I'm
he's going to
I'm
give it to you.
excited. I mean, I'm just telling you, not only
Yeah,
from, experience traveling, but
yeah,
from, other Africans really talking to me, candidly about, Wakanda. I love it. Exactly. No, there's no Wakanda for us, you guys. We are our own Wakanda, and we got to wake up and, you know, r- realize that, you as an African American going into an African country, and especially if you become successful,
right,
more than likely you will be targeted, discriminated against. You
right.
will be highlighted a
Overcharged.
person as a person who came in to take over opportunities for other people, who are native to that area. So no matter what, we just can't seem to escape, this narrative, and especially the way that our governments institutionalize this racist conversation. They keep squashing it down, making it about particular situations, like the president of Tunisia. It's these immigrants' fault, why we are in an economic crisis right now. No, you're in an economic crisis because of your misallocation of public funds, and
Right.
for, looking out for your own interests and your party's interests over your people's interests. And you had no complaints when, lighter melanated people were coming into the country. You are not targeting them, and they are also, refugee immigrants. So you seem to be really targeting and going against Article 6 through 8 of your own constitution. um,
I
and
don't think they're going against the article. No, I don't think
I,
so.
I will state that again, particularly the last part.
I think you're listening to the word salad, but you're not listening to the bottom line. The Islamic lawyers and
I
scholars
mean,
will always go to the Islamic bottom line and then take you to Islam. That's just an opening to take you to Islam. They're not. They're not.
so,
Yeah, they're doing a three-card money, and so you're saying, oh, with all the word salad, but look
oh,
at the
I'm not.
bottom
I'm
statement, and
only
then
saying this is what your constitution says that you pledge to, and already,
according to Islamic law.
according to the Article 8 of the Tunisian constitution.
Okay, so I got to ask you, Nature Mom. I'm not going to even ask you anything about Islam. Based on you know Christianity pretty well, right?
Very much.
In the Bible, did God allow discrimination?
Oh, I mean, if we followed the Bible, the King James version, particular, or all of the books that were translated from that, it was actually promoted.
It was promoted. Oh, okay. So, and the Bible and the Quran are both Abrahamic religions, right?
Absolutely. I'm not
So,
arguing, and let's
okay,
add it
okay,
all in there. When we're
right,
talking about the Torah, when we're talking about the Quran, when we're talking about,
right.
the scribes that became the Bible. Yeah, I do know that they
So,
come from the same source,
eh,
and
eh,
let's be
eh,
honest, dealing with the same type of discrimination in Israel right now. They went
right.
in and invaded a country that's not there, and it is the indigenous, people of darker skin. Actually, I mean, most of them kind of
So,
look like each other now, but
so let me ask
yes,
you a
is
question.
there
Okay,
direct discrimination? Absolutely.
okay. So let me ask you a question based on. Okay, so you're saying that the Israelis are invading a land, right? Invading the Palestinian land, correct?
As far as I see,
In
yes.
the Bible, does God tell the people of Israel to go invade lands
All the time. I mean,
all the
especially when you look at
time?
the Old Testament,
All the
absolutely.
time. So I got to ask you, Nature Mom, is are they really violating the Constitution? Because the Constitution, word salad, and then they got this little clause in there, and that clause leads you to Islam. So are we really violating people's human rights?
Yes.
And we are.
Absolutely. We are.
Wait,
Because,
wait,
like I
wait, wait,
said,
wait, 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 wait. Let me just keep it plain and simple. You know the Bible. Does the Bible tell God tell the people of Israel to violate people's human rights?
absolutely.
So I'm confused here. I'm a little confused.
I don't know why. So, absolutely.
Because you said that the man's rights are being violated, but if the Constitution refers back to Islam, Allah tells people to violate people's human rights, especially if they're not Islamic.
I mean, can
Plain
you
and
show
simple.
me where Islam actually says that? Because I'm curious. Because remember, the Quran is its own book. So let's put it out there.
Okay, so
Unfortunately,
okay, that's
I
fine.
think we
So
have to
so
part two on this one to be
we can do
prepared
that.
for this conversation.
And hopefully you
But
can bring your friend. Hopefully you can bring your friend because
yeah,
yeah,
I'm
I
really
definitely
hoping
want
so
to.
as well.
Yeah, because I want to
Because
definitely. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, because it would be great to get someone who actually grew up in the system
Absolutely,
and
absolutely.
faces it firsthand, versus our very Americanized point of view on it.
Right. Um. Ah. I was going to invite Empress up here, but I don't know if she's busy or not because I know she
Yeah,
deals with a lot of Islamic. Well, you do too, though,
I
man. Yeah, yeah. Y'all
yeah,
both deal with a lot of Islamic. Yeah, yeah. I know you got to go, Nature
yeah,
Mom, but
unfortunately.
okay. Um, are
So
there
can
law?
we?
Do you know? I mean, okay. So let me ask you real quick. So the laws there in your country, in where you're at in Qatar,
Hmm.
are there obvious Islamic laws there
I
that are
mean,
just
there
obvious?
is the Sharia law
Okay,
that is stated, and then there are laws of the state of Qatar. Yes.
okay. What I'm saying violates human rights, I'm going by the Universal Declaration of Human Rights.
Right.
So what I'm saying is that I can take any laws around the world, whether it be China, Iran, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, America, South America, and
Hmm.
line it up and show 'em where the violations are. So yeah, I can actually
Right.
show. Yeah, and especially you talking about the theocratic government, there's violations all up and down simply because the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, they abide by separation of church and state, meaning church being any religious institution, your mosque, your church, your whatever, your temple, your whatever it is. The Declaration, your first human right is that should be separate.
But that's under international human rights.
Yes.
So you would have to show me that
Well,
because
universal,
I'm not so sure.
universal,
Yeah,
universal. You know what? I'll save that for you. But I actually, yeah, I have
that'd
it
be
actually
great.
pulled up right here. Yeah. Well, actually,
Yeah,
you can pull it up too,
universal.
and you can you do
Yeah,
some
just
homework.
send me a link. Exactly. Just send
Okay.
me a link. Because when you say
Yeah.
universal, I mean we're saying that
Go
Iran,
around.
Iraq, all the countries are following this universal law, and I don't
I'm
see
not
that
saying
being
that they following. I'm not saying following. What I'm saying is
okay.
that to be part
That
of the
they're
UN, that they somewhat acknowledged
part of
it
the UN.
and somewhat. Now, I'm not even saying somewhat acknowledged, meaning what I'm saying is that all these other countries will add word salad to appease the American overlords to, I don't know,
I mean, the American overlords are adding word salad to, appease themselves. So yeah. So I mean, can we say that the amount of police brutality that we still see since the
well, you,
inception of policing in the country, it has held to any international human rights? Uh,
I mean, I'm not going to argue that, you know what I'm saying? But however, I will say that there's police brutality everywhere. So to
but
say
I'll
that
tell you what.
police brutality doesn't exist in point A, point C, or point
No,
B is
I would
utopic.
agree with you. But I
Okay,
will say that as a person of, color, I find that if I'm pulled over for some reason or if I'm encountered by the police in this part of the world, I don't fear
right,
that sense of is my life about to end in the next couple of minutes? I don't feel that at all. When I'm in the United States and a police officer approaches me, I feel like I need to go into protection mode immediately. And
right,
when a police officer approaches me, actually pretty much anywhere else in the world, I feel like they must have a question to ask me. That's my first instinct, not do I feel safe or not. So that's a big difference, for me. I don't
okay.
feel unsafe in other parts in the world as I feel particularly when I'm in Los Angeles.
Los Angeles. Okay. I mean, again, but that comes down to each individual experience, I guess, you know. So I
And
would
and I
never,
I won't
yeah,
I won't say that I've even, like, had, any overtly aggressive, acts against me. I just know how these officers are trained. I know by whom they've been trained for a long time. This
right,
guy's a tyrant and should in a sociopath and should never have been a trainer, of, officers of the peace and brainwash, for decades these people
right,
into fear, and that's why we have so many gun happy young people who grew up under his regime. So no, I do feel like I'm fearful because he has brainwashed people into an indoctrination of shoot first, ask questions later.
right.
And I don't feel like that's the training in other parts of the world where I've been. I don't feel like they're, even if they're carrying a gun, I don't feel like they're going
Whoa,
to pull it out on me.
whoa. You are aware that uh, a lot of police officers around the world are trained here in the U.S. You do know that, right? Israel,
Um,
Africa. Only place I would say they're not is Russia, China, and Iran. But the rest of the
uh,
world, a
uh,
lot of them are trained here in the
the
U.S.
the police
Just like we
officers
trained a
here
lot of the
are
we
usually
train.
just going there for vacation, aren't usually trained there. So they
Okay,
do their training here, and I, you
okay.
know, I
Before you go, I gotta ask this question, Nation. I
okay,
never asked you this
okay.
question. Have you ever heard of the School of the Americas?
Which one? We have a lot of them.
The one where we trained Idi Amin, we had trained
Oh, okay,
Saddam Hussein, we trained
okay.
who else?
Yes. Okay,
Pinochet,
so you're talking
Yeah,
military, or should we say defense related? Yes, of
we
course.
trained most of the
But
dictators in the world. I just wonder if you heard of that. It's right here in
I
Georgia.
have.
It's right here in Georgia, the Americas.
Yeah,
They shut it
yeah.
down. In fact, I'm sure MD. Well, he's busy right now, but he can give me the exact address of the School of Americas. But yeah, we trained most of the people over
Yeah.
there. So when you talk about police brutality, I'm just like, wow, because we trained most of those countries.
I
They're
mean,
dictators and their police and
well,
their
so
military.
once again, where I am and where I've been, There's not the same ideologies that are taught to the police officers as
Okay.
far as your life is constantly in a danger, fire first. You don't see police officers walking around with bulletproof vests here, or where I've lived in Eastern Europe. Where have you ever seen a police officer in Los Angeles without a bulletproof vest on, walking around?
No. No, but again, have you had in these different countries? You got to ask: have they had like paramilitary militias attack police? You too. You got to ask that question. These are things you got to ask. David Koresh. Uh, I don't know, Black Liberation Army, the Black Panthers. I don't know. You had the Oath Keepers. I mean, there's numerous uh, armed militias there that have fought the police here. So I get the
I think the more important question is, are you able to legally carry firearms in these countries?
That's a very interesting question as well. No, in most of the countries where I live, regular citizens cannot legally carry firearms. It's a big difference.
question.
There you
But
have it.
but as well, I mean, could you see other forms of violence? Absolutely. But do you like see it as often, and the police kind of wearing that on their sleeve and using it as their guard against just everyday citizens. I've had situations where the
Hold on,
police
H
officers
Mom.
were aggressive. I mean, not no, they were aggressive verbally, but were aggressive for no like given reason. I had no weapon on me. I
Hold on,
actually
H
was
Mom.
working for the state.
Hold on, H
Hmm.
Mom. And I'm gonna
Uh-huh.
have MD back me on this.
Okay.
In Mexico, it's here we put a lot of stuff in the media. In Mexico, they killing Haitians every day. We don't hear about it.
We don't hear about
Four
it.
Americans that went down to Mexico, two of them got killed, and because they were American citizens, we heard about it.
Right.
But
It's true.
MD was like, man, if there would have been Haitians, you would have never heard about it.
It's
We
true.
don't know about
It's
the
true.
cart,
And I think that
right.
that's my
So,
point. This
but
institutionalized
a person can
and
make that same argument saying, well, if these certain amount of people get killed, it may not be publicized.
well, I think that's the point, is that, absolutely, uh, the institutional part of, supporting racism, I think is absolutely all over the place, in around the world. And in this particular case, when we're talking about Tunisia, in the case where
Hmm.
you're bringing up in Mexico, uh, yeah, it is based on the institutional. And when we talk about institutional, we're not just talking about the government. We're talking about the media, that supports the government. We're
Right.
talking about the school systems that also support this narrative of some people, have more rights to be, publicized when they're being discriminated against versus other
Right.
people.
And that's why, and even I didn't even know. MD pointed out to me that whole situation was because not because of race, but because of status. When they found out they were Americans, they thought. Now here's the word. They thought they drove right into a shootout. Now, mind you, I had knew about the green light from the cartels against the Haitians. So they're fighting. They're thinking that these people are Haitian. They kill them. Once they find out they're Americans, they're like, oh, so okay, we're going to turn in the cartel members that killed them, and they sent an apology note and all that, and they got this, because of their status, they got different treatment that they as if they were Haitians. If they were Haitians, we would have never heard about it.
It's true.
Never.
It's
Right.
true.
So you know,
I mean, so yeah, I do. I mean, if that's your point to say,
so no,
is this level of racism, globalized institutional racism? Absolutely. I
but what
think
I'm
that
saying is that
all
the black people, do we have an advantage because of our status? Meaning, like, okay, the Mike Browns and all that, you hear about it, like you said that, oh, it's more prevalent. Is it more prevalent because you're hearing about it because we have the
so
status?
So let's
Okay, I'm
make
sorry. Go
like
ahead.
because I made the same. No, 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 it's okay. I'm actually
Okay,
addressing this. Let's say, for example, if it wasn't a sub-Saharan, you know, African trying to move to um, Tunisia, let's say Beyonce or Rihanna or Snoop Dogg wanted
right,
to be moved to Tunisia, they would be welcome with open arms. So
right,
it is a status issue. I think that once again, I love this stand-up routine. This coin phrase by Chris Rock, this selective outrage.
right,
This president is outraged because the group he selected it is moving in because once again did not have the same outrage when they were Syrian refugees coming into the
right.
country. He did not
Okay,
have the same outrage when there were Afghani refugees coming into the country. He has an issue with the fact, and he made it clear, they are black.
right,
So it just really points out the fact. So let's say, for example, using your same scenario, in Mexico, uh, it came to the media's attention because they were American,
right,
Haitian American, whatever, they were American.
right,
If that same person was shot down in United States, the same American, you would probably not hear much about it
right,
because now they're black American. So, this institutional support of who we are going to be outraged against and who we're not going to be outraged against is just becoming, not becoming, it is still covered up in such a way. It is so under acknowledged and so dishonestly approached that we can't get to the heart of the matter, no matter which country we're really dealing with, um, because it is the dogmatic narrative of the institution in charge of the institutions in charge of their propaganda, and who they choose will get the status of you're important enough to have human rights and you are not important enough to have human rights. So I think that that's the biggest issue. So I'll have to address the last,
okay, no
very
problem.
last question of the night. Somebody, Gynocracy, was asking what's wrong with a vest. Haha. Okay, absolutely nothing. In US, I'm thinking about what designer vest I want to buy because I feel like we need one everywhere we go these days. Put your kids in school. The biggest fear right now for school age children is they don't want to die while trying to get an education. So, I think
Right.
that that's a very sad position. And definitely, if something, if you guys want to talk about more in depth, I would love to dig into that conversation because what child should be afraid to go get an education, and so with that being said, I have to say good night to you all. Fantastic conversation as usual. I'm gonna try to get that guest on, you guys, so that we can have
Okay.
first-hand account, not just a bunch of American opinions, being tossed around because we can do
Right.
that all day, but
That's
to
true. That's
actually
true.
get you know, uh, like firsthand experience and conversation, I think would be amazing. And this is how we start to have, uh, let's say, these, you know deeper qualitied conversations that acknowledges what's really going on out there.
So real quick before you go, Nature Mom. So what time? Because like I said, it's a time change.
Yeah, okay. So
Because I feel like
yeah,
I
how do we
hit
do
you
it?
up too early. I feel like yeah.
So usually we start an hour after we started today. That might be
Okay. Okay.
easier. Yeah, yeah. Because if our schedule was the same, like I was telling you, it would have been
Right.
right in the middle of that. But with it being a holiday, that didn't happen today. So yeah. So let's go back to our regular time, but I would have to figure that out with you because of you guys keep changing your time.
No.
There's no time change difference here. Yeah,
Oh. Okay. Okay. Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah. I
all
should have
year is
gave.
the same.
Yeah. I should have gave you a heads up. I'm sorry.
I mean, it's hard to
So
know. because these are details. It's automatic, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
So it's
we're gonna
hard.
be this way for the next 6 months. So this, whatever time zone you're in right now, what
Let's
is a
do
good
one
time?
hour back. One hour after we started today. So I'm not sure
So
what
hour after we
hour.
started. So we
Yes,
started 10 o'clock my time. So 11 o'clock
so
my
11
time.
o'clock. Yes,
So
would be
that'd be 6 o'clock your time.
correct.
Okay, y'all. Everybody take a note. Nature Mom, 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern time, my time. So y'all, everybody adjust. In Yami adjust to Texas time, California, everybody in England. We got Poetic Empress from UK. Adjust to your time. I think you guys are on the same time. I'm not sure, but Poetic Empress, please adjust. Shout out to Empress. Shout out to EJ Boxing. Shout out to everybody in UK. Um, Shout out to everybody in Nigeria from the Nigerian group. Shout out to everybody in Cameroon.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah, we got a lot of yeah, we got a
I
lot of
think
people.
somebody from the Nigerian group would be great to answer Ibizzle's question directly.
Okay,
Not let's say like not second generation born American, but like
right.
actually someone
Actually born
who
there.
immigrated, yeah, from Nigeria. You can give real accounts from your perspective.
Right, right. Um, yeah, yeah. All right. Well, great show, man. Hey, anything?
Always,
Man. Well, thank you, Nature Mom.
thank
Thank you,
you,
MD. Thank
guys.
you, E Bizzle, Poetic Empress. Who else we got in the chat? Juju, Gynocracy, GTO. Oh shit, we had Deacon in here, man. What's going on, Deacon? I didn't even see
Oh,
you.
Deacon.
Deacon in the shizzle bizzle. Who else did we have? Of course, MD. I didn't even see damn Deacon in here. Angel Food, and Yosef. If I'm messing up these names, Sheena. Okay, these are okay. And then I know, yeah, uh, Abdul. He's from the African group. Shout out to him.
Peace, Nature Mom. Thank you for the show today. Thank you.
Thank
This is a
you.
great topic.
I love it.
Hey, let me say this real quick, Black Son, before you
Okay,
all close it out.
yes, sir.
So, and we can equate this to American government too. When you're looking at a constitution, you're looking at something that is a precedent for all people in republics, right?
In
We
republics, yes.
Right, correct. So we can equate Tunisia as a republic. So we're going to equate it the same way to Tunisia. Here's the issue: just like in America, your representation is based off of that state legislation, or that, or I guess for Tunisia it would be the provincial legislation. That is the representation. The ideology within that province or within that state has ebbs and flows. It changes, right? The Constitution doesn't. So, for instance, here in America, we know what the Constitution says, but we know from a state-sanctioned ideology, we know it went directly against what the Constitution said, i.e., Jim Crow, black code, things of that nature. The same goes for a place like Tunisia. Yeah, the Constitution may say one thing, but from a provincial level, we're talking about ideology. That's where I think Black Sun was going with the whole theocratical legislative power. I don't necessarily think it's something that may be set in stone. It's an ideology at the end of the day. So with republics, ideologies can change within the government, i.e., representation. And that's all
So,
I've ever said in
mhm.
terms of republic.
If I can just add to that, it's very interesting that you broke it down to provincial responsibility in the United States, because that's where our government hides behind its responsibility quite often, right? So that's why Jim Crowism was able to be set as a law, and other states from state to state start to adopt that law because one state began it. And the federal government never really stepped in and said that is not okay. As a federal government, in this particular situation with Tunisia, this is the president of the country himself who is inciting violence, racism, discrimination, and he is allowing his citizens, his constituents, to be discriminated upon against other citizens because, oops, they look like the people that I'm referring to. As a leader of the
Right.
country and who is following what your constitution declares, you should not be inciting, and you made an oath as a political party to not incite any, as you said, fanaticism, any racism, and these types of violent acts. And he is the pinnacle right now of of the, let's say, non-black Tunisians who are acting out, or acting out against black Tunisians and against anyone who is black in general. They are feeling empowered by this leader.
I
There,
mean,
there.
yeah. Man, I wish we had more time, Nature Mom, because
Me
I would
too.
challenge you
Yeah.
on that fanaticism
Okay.
part. Because I feel like Islam is very fanatic, but a lot of fanaticism in religion. But I'm gonna leave it
Yeah.
alone just for
I
the
mean,
next
I mean,
show.
I would have to agree with you 100%. And, like you said, I felt like in their constitution, they say that there's freedom of religion, but then at the same time, and they are against, political fanaticism.
Right.
And, if you are pushing, any extreme views, then it's against the constitution that you're presenting. So, I think that it's a very interesting topic to continue with. Absolutely.
All right. Well, yeah, and hopefully, I know MD's busy. Uh, MD is Sunday Family Day. Dang, 'cause I sure would like to get MD.
Yeah, I'm on my way. I'm on my way to Atlanta to my mom's house. But I mean, I'm
Oh,
listening in. I'm contributing to what I can. Hey, tell you what, Black Son, let's save it for Arena Abroad.
Okay, cool,
We
cool.
can
Oh,
we,
you,
we can
oh,
bring
you,
it to
oh,
order.
you already know it, bro. You already know. You read my mind. You already know we about to tackle this one.
okay.
So
All right, guys.
yeah, 'cause we took notes. Me and MD took notes. So thank you, Nation
Great.
Mom. You gave us another something for Arena Abroad. So yeah, we got it. We got our topic, and yeah, keep bringing us more stuff, Nature Mom. Bring us
Oh, yeah.
more, cause yeah,
So
we we,
there's
we love
people
it.
who are interested. There's people who I'll
Bring
bring you
them,
some people from abroad because they're
bring
interested.
them, bring
Yeah.
them, bring them all. Open the floodgates, Nature Mom. Open them
Love it.
up.
Love it. Yeah.
All right,
All
Nature
right, you
Mom.
guys. So
Shout out to the family. Shout out to
thank
you, Nature
you.
Mom. Thank you.
All of you
And
guys too, and MD to you and the family as well.
yes, yeah, MD and his
Thank you.
family. Yes,
All
MD
right.
drive safe out there, man. You know how people drive in Atlanta when the sun come out, boy. They drive crazy. They drive
I
crazy.
got you. I got you.
They're like
Peace, y'all.
sunlight. All right, y'all. All right, Nature Mom. We out, y'all.
Bye. You're out.
Peace. Let me get the closing outro.